Stand by. Root, say hook. Hey, you. Have a seat. What's everybody doing? Beautiful day in the neighborhood. Is that really day? Oh, man. I missed out. Okay. Oh, perfect. It's party started.
Good morning, Double Deuce.
Good morning.
Happy Muley Day. Jump right in for the exec team. We've got upcoming squadron events. Lieutenant Colonel Kramer's farewell is going to be on 27 May. We've got Senior Master Sergeant the annual Civil Promotion Ceremony, Chief Master Sergeant on 27 May at 1422. We need 4 volunteers for that, so if you'll send a wholesome DM to Miss Each if you would like to volunteer, and we'll get you on the list. Our first squadron PT coming back Monday, 0800 on the track by the base gym. Make sure you guys bring towels and stuff. The showers will be open, and just make sure that we can get all cleaned up before we come back into work. So just make sure, remember, UOD for PT is going to be black shorts and black dry fit shirt from the Booster Club or official Air Force PT gear. Muley Days this afternoon, so find a club, go do something fun. We'll be hitting on that a little bit more later. Upcoming holidays and family days, we got an AMC Family Day on 28 May and then Memorial Day on 31 May. Hacking the Mish, we got Shrift's crew just suffering in Guam right now, so keep them on your minds. And then Logan's crew is in Alaska right now. And then we got Sapel's crew helping out with Mobility Guardian, and then Gray's crew will be alerting later today to head out on another MSPC. Quick plug for Spark and with Captain McColgan. They're going to be doing an open house today from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. just showcasing some of the tech that we have here on base at Travis. So if you're interested in that, go check it out. It's kind of right by the pool on base. If you look down there in the bottom left, that's where the Spark shop is. So if you're interested in that type of stuff, 3D printing, any kind of tech demos, that'll be going on from 9 to 3. All right, jumping right over to the pub shop.
Let's start right here, go first.
All right, so yeah, I know all you already know your pubs, the EFBs are wiping quite a bit. AMC and BlackBerry, they kind of work hand in hand. They do mess up once in a while, so they did accidentally put like the compliance floor to 14.5.1. So if you weren't on that as of like last week, your iPad's most likely wiped. If it tells you to delete and reinstall your UEM client, that's pretty much a sign that you're going to be, it's wiped. So if you don't know what's wrong with your iPad, it's acting goofy, please ring by the pub shop and we'll figure it out. And if you're not on 14.5.1, you can try to update it right now and see if you didn't get the wipe code yet, but odds are it's probably already wiped. Just in the future, make sure you keep your iPad updated at all times. 15 is going to be coming out here probably in August, so do not update to that. In August, we're going to send out emails and reminders and make sure you turn off your automatic updates. And so that way you won't update to 15 without authorization. But anything on the 14 yet, just keep updating as soon as possible to prevent all these wipes. And then you have the Secure Good Reader rollout. So that is an approved app. If you guys have not seen, start using it. If you guys don't know, it's for when you're down on downrange or whatever, you can actually update your pubs from any internet connection. It's a lot slower than the ones that we've been using, but it is what we're going to eventually transition to. And that way you can do it at home. There's no reason to come into the squadron to really update anything anymore. And then just make sure you check your second quarter.
Okay, thank you. For the Secure Good Reader, I know that it's a little bit confusing. It came out on your iPad, just randomly showed up one day and we told you not to use it. And then 2 weeks later, we said, go ahead and use it. It has to do with how slow that update is. The way Secure Good Reader works is it goes directly to the SharePoint site that houses all of our EPUBs. And it sees that there's a difference and it downloads that difference. But first to check that, it has to encrypt itself, look at that website, make that comparison, encrypt itself back into the iPad. So every time it looks at every single pub, it takes significantly longer than when you're in the squadron. It will be the way of the future. Eventually the squadron server will go away and the only way to update your pub will be Secure Good Reader. We're not there yet. Due to the massive rollout, and AMC manages like 14,000 iPads. So imagine if 14,000 people all started downloading at once, it would crash the system. So I encourage everyone to get Secure Good Reader. If you have secure GoodReader and you keep it up to date, you don't have to keep your other GoodReader up to date. But then you're on the hook to make sure you're using the right GoodReader, if that makes sense. So please don't go into the old GoodReader and use a pub out of there that's out of date. But you can have secure GoodReader and use it as much as possible. It's super nice to just hit your update button from your home Wi-Fi when you get ready in the morning, and your iPad sync the rest of the day. Or when you get that alert phone call and you're in the shower, hit update. By the time you're out the door, you don't have to worry about updating your pubs in the squadron. But the first initial download will take you about 4 to 6 hours. So once you set it up, you can set it up in the squadron. It only takes a couple minutes to set up. The instructions are in GTIMS and the SCIF. You'll hit sync and it'll go through its process of downloading and it'll take forever. So just go home and then hit sync at home. The next morning you wake up, it'll be all done. So more to follow on that, but I encourage everyone to start using it. It is the way of the future. So the faster you get on board, the less of a smack in the face it'll be when I tell you one day that our squadron server is down and you have no choice but to migrate. Okay, and then special interest items for second quarter. We try to brief these when they come out. So if you all look down in front of you, there's a sheet of paper. You don't have to fill it out right now. I would encourage you to try to fill it out without looking up the answers. And then if you don't know the answers, go look them up. And why did I get that out to everybody this morning? What's the first special interest item of the quarter? Anyone take a guess? Limitations, yeah. Like it's become evident that not everyone can fill that sheet out without looking up the answers. Anyone got 100%, they think? All right, Corey got 100%. All right. Sergeant Ish in the back. Also, so 2 engineers lead the pack. That's the way it is. Not a single pilot. Just all down. I understand. But the reason we identify special interest items and trends is so we can correct them. So step 1 is correcting them. So please take this sheet of paper. We're going to have laminated copies available in the fishbowl. So during your pre-brief, take a look at it. And then we're working on getting into GTIMS so that you can take a GTIMS ops limits test. Again, no retribution for getting wrong answers. Just something to help you all with those numbers. So I'm just going to burn through the other items real quick. Evaluation requisites. What does that mean? It's a fancy word for testing. So you have to take tests before your check rides. Everyone know that? All right, I got a lot of yeses for that. That's great. The squadron's policy is by the end of the 3rd month of your zone. So you got a 6-month testing or evaluation window. The first 3 months are for you to get that testing done. Afterwards, one of our SEALs will send you an angry email telling you you're behind the times. Get your testing done ASAP. Why is that important? Because the schedules only have so many missions, and they can't wait till your 6th month to send you on the road on a mission, and then have your testing not done. So they may have to send you in that 4th month or that 5th month, and you're not providing that flexibility. What you don't want to do is go non-current because you didn't your testing done, couldn't go on a trip, and then there was no trips available when you did have your testing done. Does that make sense? So we just need you guys to get it done in the first 3 months. That helps us out, and that gives you 90 days to get it done. The open books are all done from home. It's hard to cheat and you can already look at the answers up. And then the closed books, just get with Mr. Gooch to schedule those. Then use of checklists. I can't stop this enough. This has been a special interest item for like the last 3 quarters. And it keeps coming up because people still keep skipping or not referencing checklists. And it's causing safety issues on the road. So, not clearing a certain area and we go to kneel the airplane or installing something incorrectly or missing call outs on the cockpit from the pilots. So every crew position is guilty of it, and it's been noted for all crew positions. So please have the checklist open. You're required to have the checklist open for any time except for emergencies, engine start, and taxiing the aircraft. So any other time, the checklist needs to be open anytime you're running it. That means whether you're the one reading it or you're the one following the steps, just have your iPad out and have it open. And specifically the C5 told for the pilots and engineers. Obviously, the new eTold app is out. If you got some training from Sergeant Cordon, you're cleared how to use it. Otherwise, get with training to get that training complete. They'll put you on a roster they have, and you can use the eTold app. But still, it doesn't alleviate you from the requirement of knowing how to run manual told or know what the -1 says about told. So for the pilots and engineers, there's restrictions on when you can do MTO takeoffs and not like. You have to know that stuff outside of an eTold app flagging it and telling you you did it incorrectly. And then for the pilots, energy management and descent planning. Fred does not like to slow down. I think most of the pilots realize that if you're over the field and you want to put your speed brakes out, you realize you don't have speed brakes. And then you want to put your thrust reversers out, you realize you're in LA's airspace and it's probably not the right place to just start popping TRs and slamming down. So plan ahead and then come up with some contingencies. 3-3 has the numbers for you, and instructor pilots have a crap ton of techniques. Some are good, some are bad, some work for you, some don't. We know that as instructors, hopefully. If not, remind your instructor that, hey, maybe this is one that you don't know, this works for me. But always come with a plan for that descent. And then for your tactics, please, 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 don't just tell me you're going to pull idle and push over. Like, come with that plan of, hey, I'm going to descend this many miles. This is my rate of descent, and have that worked out ahead of time so that when you go to execute that tactical maneuver, you verify that it's actually going to work with the published data. Any questions about all that stuff? We're back in the state of Valley to help you. So if you have any questions on special interest items, come talk to us. Training shop. They should be kind of leveraging those topics for your locals and for your mission. So the pre-briefs, make sure we go over them, answer any questions for the instructors, the aircraft commanders, for the primaries, whoever the senior engineer is on the crew. Take some time at cruise and look through these and talk about these, because our goal is just to correct negative trends before they cause more problems. And that's all we're doing today. So if you don't know your ops limits, you get some time to study. You got a sheet in front of you, we'll make that available. Thanks.
Thank you. And next up, we got awards and decks. Captain Wigberg.
Morning, Double Deuce, happy Friday. I want to take 2 quick plugs. Thanks to the EPUB shop for helping out my mission yesterday, pushed it through. So really appreciate just the flexibility with iPad wipes. And then Captain Carter, welcome back in town. So yeah, cool. Awards and decks. New process rolled out last quarter. I'm here to just quickly emphasize an email that was sent out last night to just give you quick highlights. This is kind of to align with group and wing standards and make this very clear to everyone the way forward. First highlight is the new awards process is completely objective. So there's no favoritism. I just want to squash that bug right now. Back up here is, I know it's hard to read, this awards reference sheet. It's a grading scale, goes through each bullet, and each 1206 is given a cumulative score that's compared against each other 1206 in the category. It's clearly defined about how the bullet is graded between minimum to max amount of points per bullet. Second highlight I want to point out, it's a peer-based discussion as far as which 1206 is won in the category. There's 4 selection boards that the MFR kind of lays out the ROEs for, and it's peer-based discussion as far as which 1206 wins. If it's not unanimous decision, the senior leader of that board will walk through a discussion to pick out which winner. Third thing is, in that email I sent out last night, I've standardized 1206s for each category. This makes it super efficient to fill out a 1206 between you and your supervisor. And also the awards team scrubs each 1206, removes the name, and it's given a letter when it goes up to the board as far as 1206A, 1206B, so it's completely unanimous. Also, there's 10 tips at the bottom, kind of giving quick highlights as far as what group likes to see, what wing likes to see, and it should make forming the 1206 a lot nicer. Last thing, each 1206 must have a photo attached to it. It's been a process for awards and decks with COVID restrictions, getting them printed off and hanging up in the wall. So please take your phone. Everyone has a pretty good camera on their phone. Come to the auditorium, get next to the flag, take a picture, send it over Slack. It should be really simple. Last thing is the second quarter award packages are due 8 June. I know this is early in the kind of end of the quarter for second quarter, but as we get this process more refined, we should be able to push the state to the right, and also with COVID restrictions being lifted, we should also have more flexibility going forward. Reach out to me on Slack, come find me on the all call for any questions. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
If I may have missed it, but I know this is on the email, but if they lose the email and they want to pull up the awards reference sheet, it's on your SharePoint or
It'll be,
Drive?
yes, sir. It'll be on the SharePoint, and it'll also be on Slack in the support awards index channel, pinned for easy reference. And I can also post the references on the announcement too as well.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, sir.
All right, next up, we've got Captain Lawrence talking about cheap pizza.
All right, it's a fight muleys. I'm filling in for Lieutenant Sawyer. He's in a sim right now, but the information we're trying to push out is who is due for their PT test in July, so you can dust off your running shoes and start doing some push-ups when you roll out of bed, because the waist measurement's gone, so that's always nice. Basically, you can see when the due dates are here, but there's about 29 people in the Double Deuce that need to take their PT test next month. So I would say try to do it earlier in the month before it gets hotter and hotter. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to myself or Lieutenant Sawyer, but preferably Lieutenant Sawyer.
I think Major Smith already covered down on everything Stand-Up related, so we'll jump right over to the shirt.
All right, good morning, Muleys.
Morning.
All right, happy Monday. Oh, yeah, hey, just to add a quick plug to that, right, coming straight out of Chief Schultz's mouth about PT tests, right? If you're due in July, there's no, like, usually getting with your UFPN, like, hey, can I get like a 26 or 28 July test date? Because they're saying that starting July 1st, they have to test 10 people an hour to fill the backfill. So you're talking, and it's probably gonna be 12-hour opposite PT testing through the month of July, 120 people a day. So that day that you get, that test date and that time that you get, that's gonna be a mandatory appointment. And it has to come from like squadron leadership to be able to get you out of that test. So just a quick plug on that. Thanks for breaking PT. And really quick, I got one plug before I go through speaking about SLA and leave is obviously everything's opening back up. I was able to go to the gym yesterday afternoon without an appointment. Bowling alley's opening back up, but the big thing that people need to be aware of that wing leadership has also told the shirts to get out is come June 15th when Governor Newsom kind of gives the reopening plan for California, the CDC's on base are going to kind of take suit with Solano County child care too. Because if you use the CDC, you know, right now it's kind of on a prorated. When you take your child in there, you're charged for that day. Well, they're going to start looking at going back to taking out the full monthly rate again come middle of June. So just a message I want to get out there right now. They're going to reassess as the reopening comes forward. So, all right, slide. All right, so SLA, right? COVID style. Leave, hot topic. I mean, all the way out of the wing, all the way up to Air Force leadership right now, right? A lot of confusion on SLA. I know we brought finance in a couple months ago to talk about it. Still a lot of confusion, right? So I tried to dumb it down as much as I could. It took me, you know, a good hour yesterday to kind of read through everything, which I'm going to be sending this out and kind of some other stuff that came from CPTS yesterday about it. And I'm going to apologize up front for pointing at the slide and reading off the slide and everything. But so just to start here, right? So the first thing you need to do, right? You need to figure out if you even, if the SLA for COVID applies to you, period, point blank, right? So what you're going to want to do is pull your April LES, your latest LES. And in the before balance, right, if you're over 60 days there, that number is what you carried over from October 1st of last year, the beginning of this fiscal year. If you are under 60 days in that category, SLA does not apply to you. Period, point blank. You fall under normal leave rules where you can only carry over 60 days. All right, if this number happens to be above 60 days, right, as you can see here in this example, if you can see it, 66 days. So that means normal leave rules, you're 6 days over that cap. So that day is your SLA cap. This is the max amount of leave that you can push through to next fiscal year come September 30th of this year. A lot of people had a lot of confusion saying you could take up to 120. There's some people that have 66 in this box. There's some people that have 96. And that's the reason why that 120 day number got thrown out there. So using this as the example, right? 66 days. So long story short, if you have more than the 66 or more than 60 in this box, which is the 66 right here, you have to take 30 days of leave in this fiscal year to not lose any leave come September, if that makes sense, which I'm going to dig into a little bit more in the next slide. All right, so once again, max number of days you can carry past is 66, right? Just on this example. So if this member takes more than 30 days of leave this year, so if you have 66 coming into last fiscal year and you plus the 30 up, you would be at 96 total if you didn't take any leave this whole year. Now, at 96, if they take 30 days of leave, they would go back to the 66 days of leave, and they wouldn't lose any leave. In this example here, this member has used 23 days already this year. So 30 minus 23 equals, he's got 7 more days of leave that he's going to earn through the rest of this year. Period, point blank. So if you take the 7, right? So technically his real use or lose numbers would be 7 right now, plus 6. That gives you your use or lose 13 on there. So a big thing to remember too is leave is last in, first out. So if you have use or lose right now, if you have 6 days use or lose right now and you take 6 days, that's not going to minus from your use or lose. If you have leave in this box, your leave earned. And I'm sorry if I'm confusing the living hell out of you, because it still kind of confuses me a little bit, but I am going to be sending all this out and everything from finance too. And honestly, when I looked at it, I was able to make it work in my brain. So, and obviously if you want to come one-on-one and talk with me, I know the RMs, Senior and Chuck are full up. They've already made their own calculators. There's SLA calculators out there too that I'm still trying to get my hand on. The RMs are full up. We can all talk through this because obviously leave is a congressionally mandated entitlement, right? As leadership, at all levels, we don't want to see you guys lose your leave. It's a hard-earned entitlement, so. And yeah, any questions? I'm sorry if I confused you.
There's none.
Yeah, this is the burn as you earn flyer that's going out here right now. I'm going to send this out to everyone too. I know Colonel Stock also threw it up on the COVID-19 thread on Slack, but this is a good calculation to kind of give you your true use or lose also.
Yeah, just one caveat to can we go back to the previous slide? So the bring forward balance, if you took leave in September, then that number is not going to be accurate. So that's when you're going to have to look into the remarks, and it's going to be your combat zone carry forward balance. That's going to be your SLA. And so it gets a little bit tricky there if you took leave in September.
No, we'll just take leave. Just take leave.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, big push. I'll tell you, take leave.
Yeah.
Nope, that's all I got on the lead piece. You guys have a great evening.
Go do some math after this, and after you do your influence, go get a chalkboard out. This and that. All right, next we've got Lieutenant Park. Gonna be talking about the Heritage Fly.
Well, good morning, everybody. First of all, I want to thank my leadership for the support and everything that I was able to push it out and make it happen. So I believe this was the first time in Air Force, I believe, that Asian American Pacific Islander air crew got together, go somewhere, and have our own heritage event. And our goal was not just gather ourselves and to spend time for each other. Our goal was to actually reach out to local community and get mingle with the next generation so that we can inspire them that, hey, we're here. You can be all you can be. And me and a couple of other officers around the Air Force planned out, and not everybody was able to get support from their leadership like mine. So we shrink down to only 2 airplanes. So KC-10 out of Travis and C-40 out of Andrews. And we wanted to make it big. And first was better. We believe the first is difficult, but it's important. So C-40 went down to Ontario, California, near San Bernardino, and had their own event. At the same time, we flew to Seattle, and we were able to engage with the locals. And we had about 300 people came over, majorly Asian community, but we also welcome everybody. And we were able to talk to them, and the goal was to inspire people. And if we were able to inspire at least one person, that we talked to ourselves, well, it'll be a success. And I believe we did. And yeah, there was a lot of hurdles, and with date change, and people got dropped out. And unfortunately, I was the only one from C5 I was able to join. But hopefully next year will be bigger and better. And thank you, Leadership Game, for your support.
Thanks, Travis. Next up, we've got Chief Top.
Happy Muley Day, Double Dudes. All right, we're gonna get a little fuzzy because all this math, I got hit in the face with ops limits, and now we're talking. Chief is making fun of me because I got so many notes, but this is my second to last one, so bear with me. Yeah, so today this is gonna be chock full of 2 of my favorite things. metaphysics, and pop culture references. See how many you can count, because I put a bunch of them in there. I had a recent mission a couple weeks ago, which was really cool. Downrange and back. Is Beam here? Got that Q1? Beam is done. Congratulations. Rel, in the house, hitting the road. He crushed O2. It was beautiful. I got to hang out with Bechtel one last time and Haliman. Got to watch some Charlie Murphy, which is always great. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you need to hit that up. So there was an instance, we were down at the deed, and this moment just stuck out to me on the mission. It was hot as hell. It was the middle of the night, but it was hot. And the chief's down there pushing age equipment, something like, what was it, 20-something pieces of age, 23, something ridiculous. And I'm standing by the ladder, and the chief comes walking up the ramp, and he's smiling. I don't know if you know what that looks like, but he does it occasionally. He was smiling. He had his top off, and he had like that dad sweat stain, like right, you know. And we got to talking, and he's like, you know, maintenance chiefs don't get to do this, go out turning wrenches, like non-er chiefs don't go out and, you know, push the mission. It's cool that I get to go out and actually fly with the crews and do stuff. And in that moment, I wish that was something we could just kind of bottle and give to everybody, because there's that kind of joy in the job. So I'm gonna go way off course, and I promise I'm gonna bring you back. Can I get the slide? I'm gonna talk about the Tao of Rocky Balboa. What the fuck is he talking about? So, Taoism. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of that. So the Tao, anyone ever read the Tao of Pooh, Winnie the Pooh? You know, it's a deep book. People laugh at it. It's good. It's a Chinese philosophy. It's about the absolute principle underlying the universe or a code of behavior. If I was going to translate that into Western speak, anyone ever see The Mandalorian? This is the way. There you go. That's the Tao. This week and Thursday, we're going to talk about metaphysics. So that's the philosophy dealing with first principles, things like being, knowing, substance, cause, identity, time, and space. So Rocky, you probably don't think about Sylvester Stallone when you think about metaphysics, right? He's not known for being a deep thinker. Something interesting about Sylvester Stallone, you know, he wrote like all his movies, the Rockies, the Expendables, the Rambos. Not that there was a lot of deep dialogue in these movies, but he wrote them. And you want to talk about a great story of American entrepreneurship. Back in the 70s, he wrote Rocky and he shopped it around to the different studios. And they're like, this is a great story. We'll take it. We got some casting ideas. He said, no, hold on. No, hold on. I get to play the lead, or I'm not selling you the script. And United Artists said, okay, you got it. And next thing you know, 1976, Oscar winner for Best Picture was Rocky, and it's spawned a new franchise and a great Hollywood career, which has nothing to do with what I'm talking about today, but I just thought it was interesting. So in the 6th movie of the Rocky series, Rocky Balboa, there's a famous line in there that everybody knows. It's not how hard you can hit, it's how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward, how much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. That is not the line that stood out to me, though. Earlier in that movie, he decides he's gonna go fight. Like, he's 50-something, he's old, and he's talking to his son, and he's like, I'm thinking about fighting again. And his son's like, that's crazy. And Rocky says, what's crazy about standing toe-to-toe saying, I am? And that blew my mind. And you're probably like, why did that blow your mind? That's good. That's what I'm going to explain. I am. It's a powerful statement. There you go. And I'm going to try to explain why this is powerful. If anyone's familiar with the Judeo-Christian tradition, Exodus 3:14, Moses is going to meet God. I mean, some of us get a little nervous at like job interviews and stuff. He's going up the mountain meeting God. And what does God say to Moses? It says, I am who I am. This is what you say to the Israelites. I am has sent you. This isn't Popeye the Sailor Man talking. This is the ultimate deity in the universe in this story describing themselves. I am. But why is this so mind-blowing? The phrase I am is irreducible. It cannot be broken down further. It's just 3 letters, 2 words. It is elegant and self-aware. Secondly, it's non-subjective. You're saying the self exists with no qualifiers. This is defiant. I'm not smart. I'm not beautiful. I'm not fast. I'm not bald. I am. That's powerful. This is a big brain version of Tyler Durden from Fight Club. You know, you're not how much money you have in the bank. You're not your job. You're not your effing khakis. You are you. You combine these two, it is the simplest and purest expression of self that I have found in the English language. So why do we care about this? Rocky, when he was talking about boxing, has anyone ever done jiu-jitsu, taekwondo, boxers, wrestling, anything like that? Anybody? All right, you with your hands up know what it means to be in a ring by yourself with another individual. It's something that I can't quite express. He knew that when he did that, it was validating his experience. What we would say now, he was living the dream. When we say that unironically, he was living the dream. He was living his best life. So the reason I brought all this up today is to encourage reflection. Like Atreyu in the Never-Ending Story after he makes it through the Sphinxes and he goes to the mirror in the blizzard. I got 2 head nods, children of the 80s. Thank you.
Gotta watch.
Artax in the swamp, man. That'll ruin your life. So I'm going to ask you this weekend to do a little reflection. Where do you feel that I am? And this will do one of 3 things. Number 1, it fosters the positive. If you can say, when I'm snuggled up with my kids at night, I am. When you say, when I strap on Fred, push up power and rotate, I am, that's a good thing. Whether it's when you're running or whatever it is you do, these are the important things you need to put your effort and time behind in life. The second thing, it eliminates the negative, debt, vices, toxic people. If there are things in your life that do not contribute to that I am mindset, it might be time to cut them out and just let them go away. But the third case is interesting. What do you do when there are unavoidable negatives? I don't feel I am when I'm making the commute from Sacramento every day, but you have to make it, right? So what you have to do in that case is change your mindset. So take that morning commute, for example. It doesn't have to be a negative. I like my morning commute. It's time for me to gather my thoughts and at the end of the day, decompress, maybe listen to a podcast. Like, I used to hate the drive, but now I feel I am because Joe Rogan is blowing my mind every day. Find ways to turn your negatives into positives. This is what we talk about, resilience versus anti-fragility. Resilience is fine and all. It's like, yeah, I got through it, it sucked, but who cares? Take something negative and make it a strength. That's where you really grow as a person. So, yeah, where do you feel that I am? 2/3 of your adult life are sleeping and personal time. And it's pretty easy to figure out what makes you content, you know, your activities. Also think about this with work. If there are ways that you can make work more meaningful, enjoyable, and fulfilling, work with the squadron. The leadership will help you do that. As I'm coming to the end of my time here, I've realized that I feel that in certain places, especially on this stage. I hope you find that joy, the joy of a chief pushing age in the AOR. See, we brought it back around. I want that for you guys, so hopefully you'll get there with a little reflection. Yeah, so Tuesday is going to be my Finney. Thursday is going to be my going away, so I hope to see you all there. In the meantime, can I get the slide, please? We have a new chief pilot. This is Mike Shemeni. You've probably seen him before. Smart dude, Marquette BA. Did you get your MBA at Johns Hopkins? Wasn't an MBA, but or you got to do your master's at Johns Hopkins. GED. I remember. It was Johnny Hopkins and Sloan Kettering, and they were blazing that shit. So C21 IP at Andrews, and then came here to Travis. Did the scheduler thing, assistant DS. He was our readiness flight commander and just finished up his time over at the OG working with Colonel Johnson. So he's going to bring a tremendous amount of perspective, experience. We're of comparable height, but he has better hair and he's extremely personable and he does have a heart for taking care of people and leading. So welcome, congratulations, good luck. Appreciate it.
That. I don't have a way to link Exodus with Rocky 4 yet, but I promise I'll try to get there. I also don't have Colonel Kramer's Photoshop skills either. But I'm just happy to be back. I'll keep it short. Thanks for the intro, Cosmo. We're going to miss you. I have really big shoes to fill. It's going to be a challenge, but I'm looking forward to it. I want to let everybody know I kind of see my role as kind of twofold, being kind of the career advisor, and if you want to talk about that, and also like the flying side of things too. So my goal is to try to make myself available. I'm here for you, and not just the pilots, but the E's as well. If you ever want to talk about anything officer related, if you don't understand why we do what we do, because a lot of it is very confusing, like why we move every year from job to job, why we TCS every 3 to 4 years. It doesn't seem to make sense to a lot of people, including me. But no, I'd be happy to talk to you about it. And from the pilots, if you have questions about assignments, I don't give the assignments. Colonel Trumbull does that, but be happy to talk about what your options are. And then as far as the flying side, if you ever just want to do GRAC, if you want to talk about the airplane, if you had a question that you were too afraid to ask, come talk to me. I probably don't know, but I'll find out for you. So I just want to let you know that I'm here for you. And I'm really looking forward to working with everybody and being back in the squadron. Thanks.
All right, next up we got the chief.
Chief.
See the
Hello.
smile? There's the smile.
Cool. Awesome introspective as always. Really appreciate that. I'm gonna miss you a lot. Hopefully the ninth knows what they're getting and really just utilize you. So are there any history fans in the crowd? Okay, you want math fans? We can go back to the train leaving Chicago 27 miles per hour versus now fan. Lost me on that one. All right, so I love history, and there's like 3 things in history that happened today I thought was kind of just relatable, so I thought I'd share them with you. And then I'll go a little deeper into one. So first, in 1927, Charles Lindbergh that was the first time there was any person did a transatlantic solo flight, right? And then 5 years later, who did it? Who did it? Amelia Earhart, right? First female, right? And also on this day, in 1900, the American Red Cross was founded. So I didn't know a lot about the American Cross. I knew what they did for us, but I didn't know the history of them. So I thought if you wouldn't mind, I would share with you where they came from. So, all right. So in Washington, D.C. on 21 May 1900, humanitarians Clara Barton and Adolphus Solomons founded the American National Red Cross, an organization established to provide humanitarian aid to victims in natural disasters in concurrence with the International Red Cross. Barton, born in Massachusetts in 1821, worked with the sick and wounded during the American Civil War and became known as the Angel of the Battlefield for her tireless dedication. In 1865, President Abraham Lincoln commissioned her to search for lost prisoners of war, and with the extensive records she had compiled during the war, she succeeded in identifying thousands of Union dead at Andersonville prisoner war camp. She was in Europe in 1870 when the Franco-Prussian War broke out, and she went behind German lines to work for the International Red Cross. In 1873, she returned to the United States, and 4 years later, she organized an American branch of the International Red Cross. So the American Red Cross received its first U.S. federal charter on 21 May 1900, and then Barton headed until she was in her 80s in 1912. So I thought it was a pretty cool background about what the American Cross is and where it came from, right? So let's talk about them really quick. So the American Red Cross does a lot for the U.S., but what does it do specifically for military members? Anybody got any?
Emergency notifications.
Right? Everyone knows that, right? Emergency notifications, right? What else do you think they can do for us?
Mail for POW.
Right? Right? POW mail, okay. All right, anything else? Okay, so they'll do the emergency notifications for family members and service members, right? They provide access to financial assistance. So if there's that kind of emergency where you have to get home, I know the shirts have the program, but the American Red Cross also does. It goes through them, right? So we can get that money for you to go home in case of emergencies. Reconnection and integration when you come back from post deployments. And then they also assist with a veteran appeals. So when you retire and you have to appeal your veteran rating or anything like that, they can actually help you out with that too. So the American Red Cross does a lot more than just emergency notifications. All right. So we touch on muley teams real quick. So what teams do we have today that are getting together? Golf. What, fly fishing? No, not today. Photography, right? We're doing photography. We doing dog walking club? Maybe, maybe not. No, okay. All right. So all I'm saying is the muley teams are here for you to enjoy and do something. Maybe do something out of the ordinary, right? You don't have to. You can like walking dogs, but you don't know anything about photography. Go hang out with Ricky. Maybe you'll learn something, right? Just take advantage of that because not a lot of squadrons do things like this, right? And we're giving you the option. Hey, you're here at work, or go off and expand your horizons and hang out with different people in the squadron and learn something new. So, and to touch on the PT. Let you know the ops group is pushing the wing to have basically the ops group guard the first testing of the month. So they want to get us out the door early, right? So with that said, if you're on that list, make sure you're ready to test on 1 July, all right? Because it's probably going to end up being like the first week or so. All right, let me wrap up by just saying thank you to the team. Being flexible through all these COVID ops, especially now, right? There's so much like, hey, what's happening? How are we doing this? What's next? And things are always changing, right? So we're getting guidance from the CDC, but it comes down to the base, and they want to do something different than the CDC on base is doing something different. And then, you know, you're always trying to figure out where boundaries are. And so I just appreciate you all being flexible and working with us. So it's as frustrating to us as it is to you. So trying to put out a solid message for you. And I also want to say thank you for all the hard work once again in Garrison and on the road. What you guys do every day, in-house and on the road, just speaks volume to your professionalism and your ability to get after it and do the next thing. Helps us as a leadership team, because when we go up to the ops group or Colonel Simmons and we have a problem, we don't walk in the door. We have to talk about things we messed up first, right? We have to clear that way before we walk in there like a clean slate, and that gives us a white space to say, hey, here's what we need. And, you know, if you're the shiny penny, you usually get what you need, right? So thank you to all of you. And that's all I have for any questions from me. Okay. Chief.
Next up, Commander.
All right, team. I don't have a whole lot, so I'll make it quick. Masks. So we all know the CDC guidance and the SecDef pushdown guidance that if you're not vaccinated, right, you're wearing masks. So please comply with that. I don't know who's vaccinated. I could find out, but I've chosen not to look, right, because I don't want to be the COVID police. But please just be an adult and comply. That's going to roll into on the road stuff as well. What do I mean by that? So the EU just announced 2 days ago that they're allowing basically open up the entire European continent to Americans who are vaccinated. That is quickly going to flow over to aircrew that are vaccinated. So off-base travel, things like that, if you're released in Charlie, is going to open up when, I don't know, but it's probably going to happen soon. If y'all watched how quickly when the CDC announced, you know, no masks are vaccinated, to when the Secretary of Defense said no masks are vaccinated, it was like 26 hours. It's probably gonna happen fairly quick, not that fast, but that's good news for a lot of us, right? A lot of bases overseas as well, if you're vaccinated, all those restrictions from going to the BX whenever you want, to shop at whenever you want, to commissary whenever you want, are gonna be lifted as long as you just have your card, right? So that's some of the things that are opening up. Many of us that have been around for more than a year and a half, right before COVID, know what on the road life was like. It was pretty baller. It was awesome. I mean, the crew in Guam right now, I think are enjoying that are broke there because they've opened up if you're vaccinated. So a lot of guys are going down to the beach and doing fun things. It's like it's opening back up again. But just make sure that if you are vaccinated, bring your card so you can show proof. Let's see here. Lieutenant Park, really thank you for, where's he at? Thanks for coming up here and talking to the team. Right, it's one thing to come from me, but it's even more important to come from the members to come up here and talk about it. Right, we've had several other events that have occurred in the past few months, women's history, African American history. That's super important, right, to who we are as a nation, who we are, more importantly, as a
fighting force and the double deuce. So thanks for doing that. We're going to continue to push those initiatives as much as I can within my power. Let's see here. Optimus GK. So I didn't know Adam was going to do this, but he's well within his right, as chief stand-about to do these type of things, right? I flew last night. We landed just before midnight, so it was an awesome time for the crew to go fly. That day, you can talk to Christina Ish. I booked out 2 hours of my own time so I could study, because I know that it's a perishable, it's a perishable skill, general knowledge, right? It's a mental game, and if you don't sharpen that sword, it's going to get dull. So, and I knew my AR, GK needed a little freshening up, which I did. We didn't get to go AR because the tanker broke, but that's okay. I got to go fly and get my 1-1 and 1. So what am I saying is you got to be deliberate. That's it, guys. And it may not mean scheduling time on your schedule and Outlook. It can be as simple as sitting out your EFB with a cup of coffee and you're like, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to open that thing up, and I'm going to take 30 minutes. And you'd be shocked that 30 minutes turns into an hour or an hour and a half because you're like, oh man, I forgot to read that for a while. I haven't read this in a while. Oh, the ball three's changed. That's interesting. And before you know it, you polish that sword up a little bit and you're just more lethal as an airman because it directly translates to your professionalism and your ability to execute as a uniformed service member in the DoD. Okay, if you are due for SBIRNY and CADM, those are two things as far as readiness might be classified that are holding the operations group back, that are hurting kind of our readiness percentage numbers. So if you've not done CADM, which is the gun, right? You haven't done SBIRNY and you are due, you're probably going to get the email from readiness saying you got to get this done. And unless you're going on the road to execute a mission, if you're in garrison at home, you're going to get scheduled for it. I need you to go, okay? Because if you don't, that's going to turn to a list that gets shorter and shorter, and it's going to be a little more pointed to where, I'll be contacting you saying, you've got to get current with the gun. I know it's driving to Reno. I know that sucks your entire day because our academy range is closed, but I need you to do it, okay? So before that happens, get with the readiness and get scheduled for that event and don't miss it as best you can. Talk to the schedulers to get off that mission if there's one that's impeding you from going. Let's see here, leave. So non-local leave is still approved by me, right? That's a DoD mandate. There is rumor of that changing. I'm hoping that changes because I'm in Leave Web for like an hour every single day approving all the leave. And I love it. It's good because I can see you guys are all going and kind of live vicariously for each one of you that are going to Hawaii and Mexico and all these other places. That's all good stuff. But it's a lot of time. So it's probably going to go back down to the supervisor, flight commanders, flight chiefs here soon enough. It's still coordinated through the RMs, guys, right? The reason it's coordinated through the RMs is deconfliction through the 10% of our numbers, right? So we can still maintain execution of missions. So that's not going to change, but just stay tuned for that. All right. I know I've been harping on the Afghanistan retrograde. The likelihood of us being deployed or staged is still there. But what's been happening, guys, is missions that have been going east have been getting recut on the back half to go up through Afghanistan. Bagram has a 1 July shutdown of when they're going to close the doors. That's crazy. Maybe think about that. Bagram, we've been there for almost 20 years. It's like a full up base. 1 July, they're closing the gates. That's crazy, right? And there's a lot of crap, that has to get that has to get out of it, right? From medical to logistics to, M16s and grenades and everything else under the sun has to get moved up out of there. So just be ready to go do that, all right? Whether you're on a mission going east or if we go on a stage, because it could happen. I mean, the longer I've been in, my crystal ball is clearer and clearer. It can happen. Let's see here. Ground testing. If you are getting some ground testing done for some anti-malaria pills, make sure you're getting back off the NIP because it's like a 48-hour NIP period. You have to go back and get off the NIP, all right? So if you're on that list, make sure you get that executed. And Flight Med should be pretty flexible to get you in. Let's see here. All right, Muley Day clubs. So this started because of COVID, right? As COVID starts to open back up and becomes less of a thing because vaccinations are going up through the roof, we're about 50%, and our unit in the base is about 60%. What's going to happen likely is we're going to be doing more events together for Muley Day, okay? But what I found is that Muley Day clubs was very good, right? And it's created some pretty strong bonds with each different sections, you know, of this organization. So I'm not interested in doing away with them wholly. What I need you to do is take advantage of it, right? So today's Muley Day, right? Muley clubs are occurring today. If you're going to go participate in that, if you're the team captain or just the senior ranking NCO, post a picture on Slack, okay, guys, so I can see the awesomeness you guys are doing. All right. If you're not going to participate, you're in Garrison with me, maybe, and hang out, and we'll do some work and catch up on emails or whatever else we need to do in your shop. Otherwise, go hang out with the club. Okay. What's going to change now for the posture of our squadron? Last week, you know, we were all wearing masks. Now we're not, okay? We're still executing on Monday and Friday, you know, full up, everyone's in Garrison. Now, as soon as we get through a higher percentage rate on vaccinations, it is gonna change. We're in phase 3 within the 22nd. We're gonna go to a phase 4, I don't know what I'm gonna call it, but it's gonna be more in Garrison presence. Now, I'm not interested in going back to Ops Normal, where it was Monday through Friday, everyone's here unless you're on leave or on the road, right? Because we've gained some certain efficiencies and effectiveness that goes along with doing a lot of things teleworking and digital and through Slack. I don't want to lose that, okay? I don't want to be dogmatic and be like, I don't care about all that good stuff. We're going back into the squadron because we can't, because the vaccination rates are that high. I'm leaving it up to flight commanders and flight chiefs. They've been given a tasker by the director of staff, Major Slip Lawrence, to figure out what that looks like for each shop, okay? Now, all the taskers that come to that shop we're going to fall always on the flight commander and flight chiefs, flight superintendents. So they're going to be taking a look at what they need to do to maintain effectiveness, you know, going forward. Maybe it's to stay the status quo. Maybe it's a little more folks in Garrison to have somebody there from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., you know, folks that are in processing, etc. I've left it up to them, okay? So middle of June, they're going to have that due to me, and about later in June, maybe 1 July, we will execute a phase 4. I'm not quite sure what that looks like just yet, but just so you guys know, we're talking about that in the 22nd to figure out what that's going to be. All right, so just stay tuned. Let's see here, Spark Lab Expo. That may seem like I don't want to go to the Spark Lab. I don't know where it's at. It's over by AE and kind of like the car hobby shop in that area. If you guys need to know exactly where that's at, stop by the front office and we'll tell you. Here's why it may be important and you're not realizing it is. If you're getting ready to retire, you're getting ready to separate, and you're like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with my life. You know what I mean? I may go to school, I may not. There's a lot of businesses that are showing up at that expo that are growing rapidly and have a lot of positions that are opening up as they grow. It can be very, very interesting if you're into tech, if you're into different types of innovations. Take 15 minutes, go over there and get one of their cards, okay? There's a lot of really cool stuff like Astronus, Will Harden, who got a job with a small innovating business in the Silicon Valley, and he's crushing it. I don't know how much he makes. Definitely more than me. And he didn't know he was going to go do a job with space, you know, space communications, and he is. You know, and was a low master in the double do. So there is opportunities, and you are super marketable just because you wear your uniform and you're part of this organization. So think about that if you want to go over there and take part. All right, we're just shy of an hour. I'm going to open up for 5 minutes of Q&A because there's been a lot of changes, whether it's leave or whether it's the mask policy or us retrograding out of Afghanistan or life on the road. Things are rapidly changing. I want to give you guys 5 minutes before we call it an hour and start our CTs, etc., to ask me questions, okay? So you can hear it straight from the horse's mouth, and I'll do my best along with the leadership team to answer it. Anything. Are we that good at communicating?
I'll ask something for these guys. How's it gonna work for when it comes to leave and the cap for how many people take a leave? Are you guys gonna make a change in that so they can adjust for without using loose leave?
All right, so Mr. Ricky Montal-Torres is referring to the 10% rule. So for operational units, it's capped at approximately 10% of each crew position. Okay, 10% of your pilots, 10% of your loadmasters, 10% of your engineers. Okay, now within that, it's further broken down because we have different qualifications to you know, fill an augmented crew. But that's still in effect because in essence, we could go to war tomorrow with China. I don't know, right? But the RMs will come to me during high leave periods to say, hey, boss, you know, our DAP isn't very high. It doesn't look like we're going to have additional missions going on the road. Can we go up to like 16% or 18% of the loadmasters or engineer positions or pilot positions over this long weekend? It could be Memorial Day weekend plus 4 or 5 days on the back half. And I'll go, I'm willing to accept the risk, because ultimately, this could happen to me if I can't fill missions. And I go, yes, let's do it. Okay, but the 10% rule is still in effect, guys. So, yeah, great question. It's all about education here. That's why we do these things. Okay, anything else? Okay, I want to thank the leadership team. I've been to a boatload, a metric crap ton of all calls in my day. I can't even count how many I've been to. And very rarely can I say that I come in consistently and have a quality education and communication event, even an inspirational event, right? That we get a lot of times from our leadership team. Cosmo's never short of some inspirational words when he comes up here. So thanks for being here, guys. Thanks for the front team, because there's a lot of effort that goes into that every week, including execs, right? And from the flight leadership on up. So guys, thank you again for doing that. Thank you for the team. We've been crushing it on the road, doing a lot of very, very good stuff, and it can't be done without you. All right. There's no Heritage Huddle today because we have Muley clubs. So without any additions around the room, anything, guys? We're good. We're all clean. Yeah.
So I'm trying to start an anime club, and I got a movie that we can actually all watch at 12 o'clock. May or may not be Demon Slayer. So.
All right. Good stuff. Okay. That's all I got, guys. Have a great weekend. Carry on.